Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Friends. This is Joe Cunningham joining you as we do every week, and we try to every week, depending on just how drunk Bill McMorris is. Speaking of, there he is, putting on a coat right now. How are you this evening, Bill? You're muted. I don't care.
Sober.
That's because we're starting too early for his drinking time. Also joining us this week, Caleb Howe. Hello, Caleb.
Hi.
And from the decision desk, we have Jeff Blehar. Hi, Jeff.
And I'll say it again with the mic on. What up? Like Martin. Remember that show, Martin, from the 90s?
You can turn the mic back off now.
What up?
That's quite enough. And also joining us from the Weekly Standard, Jim Swift. How are you, Jim?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing great. See, you've got your nice little soul patch for solidarity with Caleb there. Like that. So this evening, we are starting an hour earlier because the Democratic debate in New York is set to start on CNN. You can catch it somewhere if you are absolutely dead set on putting yourself through that torture. However, if you're not, we're just going to go ahead and preview the debate and tell you what to expect. That way you don't have to watch it at all. Let's start with...
You can watch this and then get coverage from RedState.com, where we will have summaries and videos and excerpts.
Thank you, Caleb, for doing a much better job at promoting the
what's
website.
RedState?
That would be...
it's just some anti-Sean Hannity website.
Yeah, the Free Beacon gets to be the Kate Upton warmongering blog. We're just the anti-Sean Hannity site. I think we still win. So anyway, you can catch coverage of the Democratic debate on Red State. And since we're talking about Red State, let's start with Caleb Howe, who is joining us this evening. Caleb, what do you expect to see in tonight's debate?
Nothing.
Not a thing.
It's going to be a waste of time. No, look, they're going to try and make big drama so they can get big news so that people can pay a little bit of attention to their pretend race so that Hillary can eventually have more voters.
That is a phenomenal wrap-up. Let's go over to Bill. Bill, what do you expect to see tonight?
I actually think you're going to see Bernie playing to win for once. It's getting a lot more hostile out there, so I expect Bernie to talk a lot about outsourcing and trade and highlight the fact that he just won a major endorsement from the Transit Workers Union in New York City, which is a 40,000-person mobilization effort for him that will definitely help his ground game. I don't see him closing the gap in any way. He got it just in the past month. He's narrowed the lead from 30 to about 10 to 13 is what we're seeing for the averages. I see him coming within single digits, but I don't see him winning. But I think you'll actually see him try to win and not play nice as he has with Hillary Clinton in the past. Clinton, for her part, I think she will get very aggressive about guns and Black Lives Matter because she knows that is her meal ticket this time around. So expect a lot of talk about Bernie's vote against holding manufacturers responsible for gun deaths in New York City.
You don't think that he's going to say something like American people are tired of hearing about Hillary's email?
No. I actually don't think he'll make hay of it, but honestly, I don't even expect the moderators to ask them about it.
No, I was just referring to their previous debate.
I thought it was listen, we all make fun of that, but I thought it was a very intelligent move. It was the smartest thing that Bernie Sanders could have done. And every one of us who says, oh, well, he should have prosecuted her on the matter is speaking like a conservative and like a Republican.
It doesn't mean he's not pandering. I mean, it was
whatever. Hey, half of good politics is pandering and knowing when to. If Bernie Sanders had done that, he would never have gotten as far as he did. That's a tribal affiliation.
Well, I don't think anybody was saying he should have taken her to the mattresses for it, but the fact that he had to go out of his way to, suck on her toes was a bit much.
Mm.
There is a middle ground between, worshiping her and not attacking her.
I think that was, well, I guess you're right, but he hasn't really worshipped her on a lot of other issues. I think that one, he had to do it as obsequiously as he did, because at the time that he said that, it was very much a us v them, red tribe versus blue tribe issue. If you came down on the other side of it, you were clearly aligning yourself with the evil Republicans, and, if you recall, Kevin McCarthy lost, the majority leader's position because of that. or rather the Speaker of the House position because of that, among other things. It was the right move for him to do strategically to keep his campaign alive. As for what's going to happen in the debate tonight, of course, Caleb is right. It's not going to matter. Hillary Clinton is going to win. So Hillary is just going to be trying to position herself to, push the issues that she plans to make the biggest issue out of in the general election. I also find it interesting that she's not quite sure who she can go after on the Republican side. In another world, she would already be launching attacks on the presumptive Republican nominee. We got no idea who that's going to be at this point, so she has to keep it much more general. My last thought on the Democratic debate and the Democratic race.
Paul Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be Paul Ryan. It's going to be Scott Walker. In my weird dreams, it'll be Scott Walker. But the other last thing I have to say about the entire race, not just the debate, is that it's far too easy to look at what Sanders is doing and say like, oh well, yes, futile. This campaign isn't going anywhere. The die is cast. It's easy to forget where Sanders started out and where he currently is now, and to lose sight of what an incredibly impressive campaign Sanders has actually run. He hasn't run it the way we, as Republicans and conservatives, think Republicans and conservatives should run a campaign. But he has run a race that he was never given a 5% chance in, to a place where he's going to lose, but it was more like a 40-45% shot. The die is cast now, but he has done extremely well in what was originally considered a joke bid, proving, if nothing else, the fact that people really just don't like Hillary Clinton, which is the one reason why I still think the Republicans have the slightest chance to win in November, despite all the chaos that's going on in our race.
But it also proves that Democrat voters are a joke.
See, what's also interesting about this entire thing is talking about is Joy, when you said that he didn't run a campaign the way Republicans would run it. And I actually think that's why he has succeeded so much. It turns out that by running an old school campaign without a super PAC, he has been able to sustain himself and create and generate good headlines for himself. You see the fundraising totals when they come out, and everyone's so impressed by his haul that he's managed to outraise Hillary Clinton. And the reason is because he's raising all these funds directly to a source he can control while grandstanding about Citizens United. So I think it's actually helped him not having a super PAC. And you notice a lot of the early exits from the Republican race, their super PACs still had tens of millions of dollars, but their campaigns didn't have enough to sustain them. So I think what should be noted here is, like, maybe if a guy like Rick Perry actually didn't have a super PAC and had money to sustain himself and directed contributions that way, he could have stayed in the race a little bit longer. Whereas Sanders has been able to, not only survive but generate enthusiasm, inducing headlines through his fundraising operations and ground game operations. I think that's something that should be noted.
I think you're right. Actually, I think one of the least remarked upon aspects of these campaigns so far is probably something we'll only be able to appreciate in retrospect, is how ineffective and useless, for the most part, super PACs and super PAC spending has been. Remember Right to Rise? Right to Rise is going to be one of the great punchlines of 2016. I think Ted Cruz has probably been a little bit more intelligent about his super PAC than anybody else. But for the most part, these large donations, as you say, just serve to divert funds away from the candidate himself, which means that when he falls on hard times, he doesn't have the money to sustain the overhead that he needs to keep his campaign going and to buy ads and to keep himself sort of floating and in the race. I think it almost actually proves that Citizens United wasn't such a big deal, which is the irony of 2016.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing, and I know we're crowding Jim out, but it's also worth knowing that no one has run a more message-disciplined campaign than Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders talks about what Bernie Sanders wants to talk about, and he doesn't have to worry about, if he had a super PAC, some rogue operatives running hit pieces and running attack ads against Hillary Clinton that may not end up helping the candidate himself. It hurt Jeb Bush a lot, the fact that Mike Murphy was, doing attacks on people like Marco Rubio, and it forced Jeb to take a more direct role in taking on Trump himself, rather than, just being able to, hit everyone. So I think that is that's something that goes without saying. Like I took it out. I took out on Jeb Bush Mike Murphy's actions. So I think that Bernie has been able to stay within his message, stay within himself, and play to his strengths because he doesn't have to worry about outside spending.
Wait, nobody else is going to jump in? This is so weird. Jim, what would you like to add to this conversation?
I was trying to see how long I could go without actually having to
Actually,
say
can I interrupt and say, can we skip Jim for this round? No.
I had to use that there. Well, we're all around the newsroom putting the issue out, and we're waiting for this debate, and I agree with a lot of the points that you guys made. I think this is Bernie's last chance to come out swinging, and I think we're going to see a little of Donald Trump, the bravado from Bernie, and he's going to throw caution to the wind, because you got to do something to make a splash. And we already saw with the horrors comment, which I didn't really pay that much attention to, what that did. But it's enough to do the finger waving and the sorts of rehashed attacks that we see every single Democratic debate about guns and guns on trains and suing gun manufacturers. I would guess that Bernie's going to come out with something a little bit new. If I had to pick an issue specifically, this isn't really terribly new, but he would probably, I think, kind of go after this sort of, you're following me around, hey, I went to see the Communications Workers of America, and then, magically hours later, you're there like a lapdog, and, do they know that you got like $500,000 from them in speaking fees and Clinton Foundation donations and whatnot? I think he's going to make it a lot more personal. So that's it for me.
Okay, so we've gone this whole time without Caleb making a joke and with Bill being incredibly sober and making actual thoughts. So I'm not really sure where to go from here. Let's talk about the Republican side.
I won't let you down again. Don't worry about it.
I appreciate that. Let's talk about the Republican side of the New York primary, in which we've got Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, and allegedly John Kasich is still something that is happening. I don't see the proof, but I'm told that he is actually still in the race. So Caleb seems so excited. So let's talk to Caleb about Donald Trump and all things Donald Trump. Caleb, what do you have to say?
About life in general, or about just Trump being a person?
Just Trump as a person. Trump as a human being.
Because I was going to remark on your posters in the background there.
Which one?
The Joker.
Yeah, that was
I'd like to explain to you how that metaphor of that poster behind you applies to the Trump campaign, but it doesn't, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, because, well, no, actually, it probably does.
Don't you try and make something out of this. Don't you try it. Don't you try to make some kind of cultural reference.
You remember that scene where the Joker is telling Harvey Dent, "Do I look like a guy with a plan?" That's Donald Trump's campaign. Here's a guy with no plan.
Like a dog chasing cars.
The latest news that boggles my mind from Donald Trump is two things. It's last night and today. Last night, the Hannity Love Fest, where I can't believe they got the little ribbon around both their hands and put them together, join them together in Holy Hannity. The second thing that happened today was you find out that he was calling the police station and calling the prosecutors in Florida about Corey Lewandowski. He was telling them, do the right thing. Did you hear about that?
No, I did not. Discuss.
Well, Joe, I sent an email.
I don't check my
I heard about it. I don't know how it's supposed to be construed, however. I mean, there are two spins you can put on it. That
take everything that he does negatively, so...
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, there is an easily applicable negative spin, but there's also a positive spin if you really feel like you want to apply it.
What's that, being loyal to his...
No, just saying, well, hey, do what you think the right thing is. I'm not telling you, I don't want to sound like I'm pressuring you. You just do the right thing. I mean... Fuck, right, I assume that's not what he was doing, but I'm just saying that's one potential spin you can put.
There is literally no circumstance under which a person, someone, and says, I want you to do the thing, where they don't mean, I want you to do the thing that I want. There's nobody who calls up and they're like, I just thought you should know that I think you should do whatever you think is best. That's not information a person needs to have delivered to them from an outside source. They're already going to make their own decision. So if someone comes in from the outside and says to you, I think you should do the right thing, what they mean is, I know what the right thing is, and you should do that. That crown is cracking me up. Does that show up on the... Can people see that who are watching
they
this?
can see that.
I am King Trump, baby. King Trump. That's right.
I don't know how to... Okay, so let's go to Bill, who may be able to save us.
Joe, let me tell you something.
Now he's got an... Why do you have an eye now? Now there's eyes involved. This is...
I'm taking over. Jim, give us input.
That was okay. Jim wins.
Read between those lines.
That was a fantastic show, guys. I'm glad that we were able to get all this done. So Jim, after that, that was wonderful. Let everybody see you again. And then Bill, what are your thoughts on the Republican debate? Or not the Republican debate, the Republican primary in New York?
My thoughts, I mean, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point what is going to happen. It's Donald Trump is going to win, or Ted Cruz is going to fare really poorly, and John Kasich will get, he'll crack the double digits. And that's about all we'll see up here. I mean, it's pretty much, just a New Yorkers are who we thought they were, and I'm just.
Is it just me, or is there no sound?
Holy shit! I fucking muted myself. Nice. All right.
Thanks for jumping in, Joe. You are really all over this.
Did you guys not hear any of the stuff I was saying?
No, you did it halfway through. So you want to finish the second half of your thought, and let's actually be serious. Let's be serious and respectful here.
The only thing that I would note is that the New York primary has caused the wheels to come out the bus again. In that we realize that Rudy Giuliani is the attention-seeking whore and sociopath that the left accused him of being throughout the 90s, and that Chris Christie is unforgivable. So congratulations, New York, New Jersey. These are your guys.
I guess those are what you would call New York values.
Exactly.
Did you see what I did there? I related it to a news item.
Fantastic work, Caleb. Jim,
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about something that does not have to do with New York, because New York is awful. Let's talk about literally anything else. The floor is open. Just take it.
That is some serious moderating.
I
don't know, whatever. Just talk.
I want to talk with you guys about Est and the Americans, and whether or not you guys would be willing to join me in an Est session.
What does that even mean?
Well, if you hadn't watched it, Est is like, it was like a cult, kind of like, it was like Donald Trump's church, like it was some marketing thing, but like posing as religion and New Age spirituality. And I'm just so
the whole broadcast just froze for me. Is it?
No, you're ruining the broadcast just fine, Caleb.
Yeah.
Keep going, Jim. I'm listening intently. Look into my eyes as you speak.
Now this is Est right here. But do you guys watch The Americans? I'm an Americans fan, but
I don't.
I just watched the first 2 seasons in the past 2 weeks. So I'm starting season 3. It's amazing. A little too graphic on the sex, actually. Like I get embarrassed when I watch it.
A man who has no shame is embarrassed at sex scenes. That is a phenomenal
Yeah, I look away.
revelation. That is...
I really do. I don't like sex on TV.
Because you always fall off. Anyway, so going over to Jeff. Jeff, around the, in looking at New York, we have all sorts of fantastic polls that tell us exactly just how crappy the world is. What are some states that we desperately need polling from?
Oh, sure. The number one example is Indiana. We desperately need polling in Indiana. We don't have anything whatsoever, and it's going to be a key state, maybe in a way a state that decides everything, in the sense that California, this always is going to come down at the end of the day to the final primary in California, and the decision desk is going to be there covering it. In fact, we plan to be doing an exit poll on that day as well. But in the interim, South Dakota and Montana and Indiana are three states that should be good for Cruz. Indiana is the biggest toss-up among them, and we really don't have any actual sense of how they're going to shake out. I think we could basically guess that Trump is going to get a clean sweep of everything in the Northeast. He's going to take New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware. He'll probably win Maryland, but he's going to lose delegates in Maryland. And Pennsylvania, he'll win Pennsylvania, but he's also not going to win all the delegates there. So the only question remains is how much does he lose? Most models that I've run price in him taking almost all of them and still losing the nomination, so I'm not really too worried. But the narrative is going to be sort of recreated, like, oh, Trump is on the ascent, when in reality it's really just a trick of geography and the order of voting. But yeah, I would give anything right now for an accurate Indiana poll, particularly one that's broken out by a congressional district. And I really like, Bill, what you're doing with your face there. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, you're right, Jeff. That is perfectly appropriate. So, Bill, you can just...
By the way, would that answer have been better if I had delivered it with my googly cross eyes?
I did not...
That's a serious question. Of course it would.
Yeah, shit. All right, next time.
Yeah, you guys, all the graphics are screwing with my ADD tonight. Thank you very much, because I did not take my medicine today. Jim, you seem distracted by something. Why don't you share with the class?
Well, Bill is letting us draw on each other's faces. And, this has become totally distracting. And now, meanwhile, Caleb Howe is blaming me for making the wheels come off here, whereas earlier I was the reason why everything was civil. So, I just don't understand how we've gone from, one extreme to another, that I'm to blame because I've opened up Pandora's box of these hangout things. So I apologize to
no one. You apologize to no one, because actually while you were talking we gained 2 more viewers. So to the 11 people who are watching us, thank you very much for tuning in to the train wreck. Bill mentioned earlier that once again in New York, the wheels on the bus were coming off, and I'm just wondering how many more wheels the bus has, because we've seen everything pretty much go to hell in a handbasket this week and the last couple of weeks, and we'll continue to see that happening, because nothing matters, and at this point the entire presidential race is a shit show. Caleb, is there any bright spot in this election season at all?
Oh yeah, traffic is way up on blogs. That's a bright spot.
That is very true.
Twitter is more fun. There is endless opportunities for photoshopping. I mean, if there's going to be an upside to Trump in political office, it is going to be the amount of parodies that we can do, funny videos, songs that we can rewrite, photoshops.
So in a world where comedy moves center stage in political consulting, do you feel like you finally have a place in our world?
No, I'll never have a real place. Thanks for mentioning that. It's a real sore spot. God, I hate you.
I'm so glad that we got to have you on this week. Caleb, Bill, what do you... Jeff. What do you see as maybe bright spots?
Oh, shit, I'm sorry. I just looked at Bill's thing. I'm sorry. Okay, yes, ask me a question and I shall filibuster. Go.
Okay. What is a bright spot in the where we're at in the election cycle right now? Are there any bright spots?
The biggest bright spot by far, the biggest bright spot was the recent discovery and I saw an article on it in the New York Post of a planet-sized object that threatens to smash into the Earth, obliterating all life as we know it. And to me, this is the sweet meteor of death that I have long prayed for, that has long been promised to us, but has, as of yet, failed to deliver. I pray that it may land soon, preferably sometime in September. But if not, the biggest bright spot is the continued incompetence of the Trump campaign when it comes to delegate wrangling. Now, they're playing a strategic game. Their inability to play the delegate game has led them to play a strategic media game. They're basically working the umps and sort of working the media by saying, oh, this is an illegitimate play by Ted Cruz to steal the process, to steal the election. That will avail them none at the end of the day. I guarantee you the kinds of people who are coming to this convention in Cleveland are hard-hearted in that respect. And they look at Trump's numbers and they will giveth not a fuck about how Trump chooses to play his little, woe is me game, so long as, okay, you know what, hey, I'll get to see you all later. It's been nice. It's been nice. Adios. Bye-bye. I got a dick in my mouth, apparently, here. Is that what that is? I guess. All right. Anyway, Trump has been trying to create a propaganda campaign to dissuade delegates from turning against him in the second ballot or later, but it's not going to work, given the kinds of people that Cruz has managed to round up to get to go to Cleveland for him. That is good news.
Yeah, I mean, the question, Joe, is, do you mean is there a bright spot in the short term, something that looks good and is looking up for the convention, or are you asking in terms of the United States of America, is the fact that the primary went down this way, is there a silver lining to it? The first one or the second? The second one? No, there's no silver lining.
In the short term,
except for the fact that there have been some disgusting frauds exposed for their incompetence. Besides that, I don't know.
Now, Caleb, you're a pretty important person, and you work at a pretty important website called RedState.com. And there's been a recent little spat between RedState.
Heard of that.
There's been a recent spat between Sean Hannity and RedState. Would you care to elaborate on that and just talk about, why Sean Hannity is so pissed at us?
I mean, I think he's just picking a particular target at random. He's pissed at everybody because everybody's saying the same thing, because it's a blatantly obvious truth, which is that he spends the majority of his time on air stumping for Trump, putting Trump on hour-long exclusive specials, he touts them every day. Big Trump interview tonight. Like, wow, that's real different from last night when you had him on for your entire show. And he did it again last night. He'll do it again, 50 more times. And we, like everyone else, we pointed it out. It just happened that he saw it that day.
All right. I saw the term pillow smoker in the chat, and so now I'm completely thrown off again. Bill, I want to go over to you because I have a question.
Wait, can I just point something out? The Democrat debate that is going to be on CNN tonight, that theoretically is why we had the show early. As CNN is doing their hour-long spin-up and lead into the show where they're talking with Cuomo about what to expect, because everybody waits to find out what Cuomo thinks. They're showing the audience, and it is jam-packed with celebrities. I just feel like you should know that.
Aren't there like 200 people, like most of them celebrities? I
Celebrities.
saw someone saying on Twitter.
What's that?
That there are like 200 plus celebrities there.
Yeah, and it's a small audience, so...
So they have it set up more like a celebrity town hall than a debate, except they get to argue?
I mean, it's the party of oligarchy,
That's exactly right. That's exactly what it is.
That is a great thing to know.
They get to vote, too. I mean, celebrities are people, too, just like lobbyists, represent real people.
I actually say that often on social media. People are like, why don't they tell actors, why don't you shut up and do your job? All right, you know what? What are you? You're just a regular person using social media. Everyone uses it, even if you're a celebrity. I do think that's a fair point.
Yeah, but it sucks. It sucks that, if you have nothing else going in your life except for Twitter, political Twitter, kind of sucks that a rich person has the same freedom as you to do it. You know, it's kind of like the opposition to Citizens United. You know, oh, I don't like people spending money on politics that aren't labor unions. You know, so
Right.
so I mean, it's the same sort of complaint no matter what.
I was trying to avoid it, but I got to say that the dots moving around with your head are extremely distracting.
Yeah, see, that's been
I'm down here. I'm down here, Caleb. Jeez.
And Jeff is still out, still very much offended that there was a penis drawn near his mouth. So we can all be thankful for that at least. In talking about
I'm not offended. I'm smoking a cigarette.
smoking
Sinner.
something. Anyway, so in talking about the frauds and the charlatans out there, one name that also keeps popping up is Drudge, and it's kind of weird in a way that Drudge really kind of made it big during the Clinton years with the Monica Lewinsky thing, and now we see Hillary Clinton running for office again, and it seems like, you know, he's becoming more and more. So everybody's kind of focusing on him more, and not for the reasons they were looking at him originally. It's almost like, you know, if this is his last stand, if Trump is what he's kind of banking it all on, then he goes out when a Hillary Clinton could go into office.
It's not totally unpredictable. It's not totally unpredictable, and it's not totally unpredicted. You know, people said that you'll be shocked the lengths he'll go to. He hates Hillary. I mean, he hates the Clintons, and I think that if he thinks that Trump is the only way to take down Hillary, then he'll go in 100% for. I mean, it's not totally a surprise.
But even so, you know, he hates him that much that he's not even going to hedge his bets a little bit and kind of say, you know, Trump and Cruz or whatever.
There's obviously something else going on. I mean, obviously he seems to have an affinity for Trump, but I'm just saying it wasn't completely unexpected. I mean, he was going to come out full force against Clinton.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there was ever any doubt of that, but I think that that when you look at, you know, just kind of the links that he's gone to make sure that his site is 100% pro-Trump, anti-Cruz all the time as things wind down, it's been very weird to see somebody whose name has been iconic with just, you know, pushing the conservative, pushing the Republican the whole way through, and then he's just one of those, he's, you know, like the rest, like the Hannitys, like the Breitbarts and everything. You see,
well, this is what
these
Trumpism
big
is.
names.
Trumpism is the disease of rationalization. You make your first rationalization when you decide that you're going to go ahead and support Trump for X reason, because he speaks up against political correctness, or because you think that the border, like Ann Coulter, is the most important thing. It starts with that first step, what do they call it, the gateway drug, and it goes from there. It goes from there. That's what the Trumpism disease is. It's the disease of increasing rationalization to continue to make yourself feel like you're doing the right thing, to where you get to the point where Drudge is putting up as headlines months-old links to Ted Cruz stories, because putting them up at the same time as a current story makes Cruz look worse overall. Right? Because now he's rationalized, I've got to get rid of Cruz in order to get Trump, in order to get Hillary. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And it's just so weird to see, like, all of these names, like, and the whole rationalization thing, how you keep rationalizing your way down, you keep moving the goalpost or whatever.
Yeah.
There's if you, on the Red State Twitter feed today, the link goes up about Michelle Fields saying that she's going to seek civil action against the Trump campaign for defamation. A bunch of people are tagging Greta in any replies to that, but somebody responded just NAFTA to that. I don't even know how that rationalization happens, but apparently the proper response to a Michelle Fields story is just posting NAFTA. Like, I'm not sure why, but that's something that happened.
Yeah, let's before we depart from the subject of Trump, let's add one thing here. Trump has always been a rather, shall we say, an excitable boy. All right,
How's it going, Lee?
Fuck you. He is prone to conspiracy thinking. One of his favorite sites to link to is Alex Jones's InfoWars. So this is not a guy who is entirely on a level when it comes to, you know, being a straight news reporter. it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that he would gravitate towards Trump. And also, and here's the other thing, if you want to be completely cynical about it, Trump equals clicks. Trump equals traffic.
No,
if your website depends on traffic and reach and influencing, reaching the maximum number of viewers, well, there's no better way to do that than to do Trump. I mean, listen, all of us, I'm sure, have talked to some people who have worked in the past at Breitbart and who still work at Breitbart, and they say the same thing, which is that, in a way, this is less an ideological choice on their part than a business decision. They found a business niche that they just decided to cultivate, and they have done, give them this much at least, they have done a superlative job of cultivating their business niche.
Right, but let's not make it sound like it was that hard. I mean, a website like that depends on, and has depended on for years, Drudge traffic. So
Drudge traffic is going down.
It is now, but they're dependent on the links from Drudge. That the big Drudge link, the Drudge drug, they call it in the business, the Drudge drug, and they want that hit, they want that high, they want that big traffic boost, and there's no easier way to get it than to write something pro-Trump or anti-Hillary.
But it's not as big as it used to be.
It's not as big as it used to be.
At least from what I've seen. From what I got a text. I was on Drudge this morning at 7 a.m. and I went and looked at the little chart beat thing, and it was 7 in the morning, and I'm looking at this thing, and oh my gosh, like this is nothing compared to. And it was good upper right position with the scary red colored font. It's generating much less than it used to.
But going back to what Jeff...
tweet that story with humble brag.
Going back to the idea that Trump equals clicks, I was going to toss it over to Bill since he's at another website, but oh wait, there he is. He's back on camera now, and there's nothing distracting. Bill, just in terms of the work of the writing you do, how much of it is Trump involved, and how much does Trump affect your traffic, or do you try to avoid the subject as much as possible?
Well, the Free Beacon has been focused almost entirely on Hillary Clinton this cycle, and I've actually have not done any Trump stories. Although I did get, for about 2 weeks, I got daily phone calls from a New York-based group calling itself Students for Trump, saying that they were huge fans of mine and that they would absolutely love it if I could write a pro-Trump story for them. And for 2 weeks I told them, please stop calling me, and they finally did, which was nice. In terms of
same people came to me too, and but they didn't say they were fans of me, or that they cared, but they kept going like we're a grassroots sort of thing, and I'm looking at their website and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they came to me too, and they said, do you know Bill McMorris? And I was like, let me give you his info.
Why were you saying okay? Because they're not grassroots, or because what?
It's a joke.
AstroTurfing, yeah.
So in terms of we've actually had some big national stories that we've broken concerning people who are fundraising off of Trump's name and starting up scam packs. Lachlan Marquet wrote a very good story about this New York-based political consultant who's just been ripping off Trump-supporting grandmothers and pocketing their cash and paying his consultancy with it. So yeah, we've got onto the Trump beat. In terms of traffic, I really don't know what our traffic is. We're doing well. We're fine on Alexa, but I'm not. I don't have access to the individual pages because they knew if they gave me access to that, the site would burn down. So, but one thing you guys should all check out is what's going on in New Hampshire right now with Maggie Hassan, the Democratic governor. Her husband hushed up a sex scandal involving one of his teachers at his fancy prep school, and said teacher, who was later disbarred after it became public that he slept with his students in the 70s and the 80s, despite the governor's husband knowing that that this man was guilty of sexual misconduct with his students. The governor's husband allowed them to be named to leadership positions on her campaign. So with so much talk about sex on campus, it's weird that this is not warranted any sort of notice from any national news networks. So go check that out at the Free Beacon. Shameless self-promotion.
Very good. Jeff, going over to you, obviously the decision desk is trying to play it as neutral as possible when it comes to posting the results and making the calls and everything, but you guys, I know, receive just as much hate mail and hate tweets as anybody else for simply calling a state ahead of everybody else. What kind of Trump-related hysteria do you guys get the most of?
We don't actually get very much Trump-related hate, believe it or not. We do get a little bit of flack from the fans of Bernie Sanders, but beyond that, we surprisingly managed to avoid the flack precisely because when it comes to election days, we keep it honest, we keep it straight. And in fact, even some of the Sanders fans, I have to admit, like you were there actually, Joe. I think you were there the night when we did the Michigan primary. It's the only call we've gotten wrong, which was we called Michigan for Hillary Clinton.
I trusted you.
Yeah, I know. We assumed that Wayne County in Detroit would come in bigger for Hillary than it did. It was a horrible mistake, and, well, we'll never make that again. But the Sanders fans actually I give them credit, man. They had a good sense of humor about it. They were pretty funny. It was one of them who emailed us with that great, like, Dewey defeats Truman Photoshop with the decision desk tweet and a picture of Bernie holding it up. And
that was good. I do remember that.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, give them credit. They generally go after Hillary fans, and I guess they're pretty sure that we're not on that team, so they give us credit. And son of a bitch, stop it with that. Is that prints up backwards on my screen? I hope other people can see it the right way around. Anyways, so we don't get too much flack. Now, individually, texting or tweeting on my own account, I get tons of shit from the alt-righters. I mean, some of it's not even funny. Like, they start going after my wife and stuff like that, and my family. Then, they go after me, and I'm just like, ha ha, you stupid fruit fly flick. I don't care. When they start assaulting my wife, that kind of ticks me off, but I can still ignore it too. But those people are fucking dark, which is why I really appreciate the way that a couple of authors, including Jamie Kirchick, who's written in National Review, and in also Tablet, and also Kathy Young, who just had a really nice long piece in the Federalist just today, have really kind of gone after these apologies for the alt-right and for the Trumpkins that have been running in places like Breitbart. And, in fact, one of them ran on the Federalist, too, about which I shall say nothing else, because I do this as a kindness to its author, who just probably ruined his life and doesn't even realize it yet.
I write about that stuff.
Yeah, I still hope that guy who wrote that Federalist article praising the white nationalist aspect of Trump fandom, I still hope he gets his girl. He was going after this girl, this neo-Nazi girl in the article, and boy, I'm kind of waiting for part 2 to see if he can make the connection happen.
You know who takes on that aspect and attacks those people?
Who? Who does?
RedState.
Oh yeah, well yeah, you guys are great about it, but who cares about you? We expect it from you.
Right.
Can you hear the police sirens outside my window? Alas. I live in Chicago. These sirens are a regular occurrence.
Congratulations. That's amazing. So, I've run out of things to talk about. I know that surprises absolutely
I'm making your graphic.
Baseball.
Okay.
Yeah, Lee Smith wanted me to ask you, Bill, about whether you were sad about the Mets.
Before we get to baseball,
shout out Murphy. He shouts.
I don't know if you guys.
I wanted to keep Murphy.
No, seriously. Before we get to baseball, I don't know if you guys talked about this while I was in the bathroom vomiting after having a penis drawn on my face. But I would like you, Caleb, and you, Joe, to talk about how RedState has become America's #1 anti-Sean Hannity site, and how that is going to affect your internet traffic from here and your influence in the conservative movement, going after one of our greatest avatars of intellectual conservative values in Sean Hannity.
You mean me? With Sean
Both
Hannity?
you guys. Yeah. You're up there, but you're no Sean Hannity. When I think of it, I think it's like I think of Buckley, I think of Meyer, I think of Crystal, and I think of Hannity.
No, it's the hair. I've got the Sean. I mean,
Yeah.
I cut it, but like when it grows out, it's Sean Hannity ass.
I could see that.
But anyways, we should have
And therefore now we hate Jesus.
But anyways, how are you guys taking it?
I just think it's people say things. One of the things that you do at a blog, which we are, is media criticism, especially television media. If he's going to have a TV show, he's just going to have to accept that happens. Especially when his TV show is weekly, multi-hour infomercials for Donald Trump, which is what it is. If he doesn't want to be accused of having infomercials for Trump, he should stop having them.
Well, I think what probably the best thing was that Hannity comes out and says, in accusations that he's not being fair or whatever, he comes out and he says, I'm not a reporter. Well, yeah, that's the fucking point, is we know you're not a reporter. We know that you are going to be a guy who's expressing your opinion. We just happen to think that you've got the wrong opinion and that you're supporting a fraud versus a guy who is actually conservative.
I mean, we can go into the whole philosophy of whether or not he has a responsibility to be clear about what he's doing, that he's basically being a campaign outlet for Donald Trump, which is what he is doing, which is what he's being. Whether or not he has a responsibility on a news network, as far as that's all, something that is an academic discussion that can be had. But the question is whether or not he should be, offended that he's being criticized as part of the media. He's definitely part of the media. He has a radio show. He has an hour-long show.
Do you remember when
on Fox News at night?
Do you remember when he threatened to leave New York? 2014. What was that over?
I haven't paid that much attention to him.
Yeah,
No? Okay.
yeah. I paid a lot more attention to him when he was with Combs. Hannity and Combs was it was like the two lightweights
that
of
was
each
funny,
political
yeah.
ideology yelling at each other.
Yelling at each other. That's right.
It was like watching 8-year-olds box.
But I think what's really is Hannity talks a tough game. He's always talking about how he loves America and toughness and men and masculinity, and then he's on the show with Donald Trump, constantly trashing Megyn Kelly, including last night, less than an hour after she said, "Oh yeah, we're reconciling." The crowd there, Hannity's Trump crowd, booing her and trashing her. Trump sitting there with a shit-eating grin, just eating it up. Hannity couldn't even be bothered in that entire segment to just say, well, I like her. I like Megyn Kelly. I think she's great. Couldn't even say that about his colleague and, one would imagine, at least work friend.
I'm not so sure about that. Because
now.
But for a while now, Megyn Kelly's been on the rise and been getting very popular. Even before all the Trump crap, Megyn Kelly was becoming, a pretty big household name herself. I'm sure Sean sees her as competition, and this has just been a great way.
He's not a journalist. Isn't that what he just said? He's not a journalist, so why would she be competition?
Am I misremembering this, or didn't Megyn Kelly bump Sean Hannity out of his original time slot?
I don't remember him ever being.
I believe that's true. Isn't he the 9 o'clock hour?
Yeah, she was. I thought when she was promoted to primetime, he was the one who got kicked up to a later time.
Yes, I believe that's true.
So I mean, that certainly might explain.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, even as far as who's the best face of Fox News right now, it's not Hannity anymore. It's people's. They say Fox News. People start thinking.
It's Jeanine Pirro. Clearly, is the best face.
Oh, Judge Jeanine Pirro. Don't forget that honorific.
If it's not her, it's Eric Bolling. It's one of those are the two superstars. I mean, that network is going to use them as sort of tent pegs to build around. I'm pretty sure at this point. By the way, I also want
Andrea Tantaros.
Oh God, yeah, I just got into it with her today. Whatever. But speaking of crazy Fox TV personalities or ex-Fox TV personalities, I've been thinking about this recently, and I talked about it too. I find it amazing that of all of the radio, TV, conservative media talk show personalities, the only really big one who truly was not fooled in any way was Glenn Beck, who is authentically crazy. Glenn Beck is like legit off the hook. He's nuts for some reason. But he was never for a second fooled by Donald Trump. And I think it was Ross Douthat who said to me, he said one word answer, Mormonism. And that might be what it is. I don't know. But I just find it remarkable that you would have expected him of all people to get on the Trump train, but nah, not for 1 second. He seems to be the only one who ended up having the courage of his convictions when it all came down to it.
That is pretty interesting. I didn't think about it like that. But yeah, of all the ones that you might expect to go like crazy over the cliff for somebody like Trump, yeah, Glenn Beck would be like the first one that comes to mind. But going back to the Fox personalities, I think probably one of the funniest things that ever happened in Fox, just in terms of letting you know just how messed up the personalities were, is Bill O'Reilly lets Jon Stewart onto his show, and Jon Stewart on his show says, "You realize you're moderate, or you're the moderate voice on Fox News now." And Bill O'Reilly got so pissed off at that, and has tried to go even more, tried to be as outrageous, and he's just as much Trump as anybody else. Giving, after the last Republican debate, gave a huge softball, just big softball. I'm almost to the point of having to get down on knee pads himself, talking to Trump. I mean, just all of these guys at Fox News, with the exception of Megyn Kelly, it seems, have all decided, yeah, maybe they have made the business decision, or maybe, I don't know, they have some other reasoning or other logic to be joining with Donald Trump. I don't know. And whoever put that on Jeff's screen took it off before I could prominently display it, so you missed out. Hey, it's Ultimate Warrior. God rest his soul. Anyway, Bill, why don't you help us close it out tonight? Let's talk baseball.
Yes. Thank you so much, Joe.
How about the Braves?
Bill, you don't say a fucking word until you remove that. Thank you.
So, in terms of baseball, I am absolutely terrified and petrified. The Mets absolutely blew and wasted and squandered a very easy start to the season. And a beautiful start by Noah Syndergaard, who has established himself as an ace. Bryce Harper has wore a Trumpian make baseball fun again hat. That's all you need to know about the Washington Nationals.
Excuse me.
They employ somebody who wants to destroy.
No. You do you. You talk the Mets. I'll talk the Nationals.
Yeah, I just can't take you seriously with that mask on. So in terms of baseball writ large, I just say it's been a really cool season. We've seen a ton of surprising starts. I'm actually totally taken aback by how poorly the Blue Jays are doing and how amazing the Orioles are playing. So I feel like the American League is actually going to be a lot more fun to watch this year than the National League. And okay. Oh, and Goose Gossage should run for president with Mad Dog Mattis. That's about it.
I will just say this: the Nationals, unlike the Mets, have taken advantage of an incredibly easy start by whipping the Braves into submission, obliterating and brutalizing. The Braves and the Twins are two teams that are both no, get rid of it. Thank you. You people are just brutalizing me here. It's not fair. Anyways, the Nets are going to go wire to wire. They may have lost that one game, but I think they're going to go 162-1. And I think it's going to be the first .999% winning percentage season we've ever seen. I hope you realize that that's displaying backwards. That when we play this back, people are just going to see you writing the word Trump backwards.
Nope, it's displaying properly.
Oh, God damn it.
However, it is hidden behind everybody else's head. Oh, I think that's our cue. That's the.
Whose version is that?
It's Joe's wife, right?
You can't sing. Don't even joke.
I can do a better version than that.
Show some respect and take your hat off, Jeff.
Next week when we do this, we're going to have a rule that nobody can put a mask on anybody else without their agreement. All right?
Malkovich.
Caleb looking off in the distance as the song played, looking almost misty-eyed as the national anthem played, was truly a magnificent sight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Friends.
My microphone was muted, you douche.
And go enjoy the Democratic debate. Follow Red State for all the coverage of the Democratic debate, because you don't want to put yourself through that. Just go chill out in our open thread as we talk about, what they're saying, and other people can do all the thinking for you, because you shouldn't subject yourself to this. Bill, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Caleb Howe of Red State, Jeffrey Blehar of the Decision Desk, and Jim Swift of the Weekly Standard. Thank you all for joining us, and have a blessed week.
Insert.